My name is Alan Skinner, and today I'm going to talk about General Horatio Gates. Gates presents a paradox of historians. How could the hero of Saratoga fail so badly at Camden? Historians have offered different explanations, yet none have really included detailed analysis of Gates's character. So today I'm going to provide some analysis of his character through the lens of scripture and offer some thoughts on how his character influenced his generalship. So Horatio Gates was born in 1727 in England. In 1745, Gates obtained a lieutenant's commission through patronage and saw service in Europe and Nova Scotia. So in 1745, Gates bought a captaincy through patronage and borrowed money. And while stationed at New York City, Gates developed an affinity for America and its Whig politics. During Braddock's defeat of the French and Indian War, Gates survived a serious wound and returned to duty. And later, Gates was promoted to major for his part in the capture of French Martinique. Frustrated over his lack of promotion opportunities, Major Gates retired in March of 1769, and he settled in the Shenandoah Valley, where he became a farmer and militia commander. And he also formed close bonds with patriot radicals like Patrick Henry and Charles Lee. Gates proved an excellent choice as the Continental Army's first adjutant general in June 1775, but soon thereafter, once he was promoted major general, he became embroiled in disputes with General Philip Schuyler on the left and Commander-in-Chief George Washington on the right over the defense of New York. And in 1777, Gates clashed with General Benedict Arnold over tactics, quote, a quarrel between the two generals in which high words and angry letters were bandied on either side. If Arnold was indiscreet and in temperament, Gates was insufferably overbearing and arrogant, end quote. Gates was honored for the success at Saratoga, but many in the Army saw General Arnold as the true architect of victory. In October 1777, Gates was embroiled in what the historians call the Conway Cabal, officials seeking to oust Commander-in-Chief Washington. Historian Paul Nelson portrays the affair as nothing more than overblown suspicion in Washington's mind. Thomas Fleming's more recent scholarship, however, concludes that Gates was deeply involved in the efforts to undermine Washington's authority. So after Saratoga, Gates took an unintended leave of absence to home, where in May 1780 he was recalled by Congress to command the Southern Department. Gates ordered an immediate offensive into South Carolina, which ended in disaster at Camden on 16 August 1780. Battlefield defeat was common for American commanders, but Gates' dishonorable conduct was censured by Washington's aide, as you see here, Colonel Alexander Hamilton, quote, but was there ever an instance of a general running away as Gates has done from his own army? 180 miles in 3 days and a half. It does admirable credit to the activity of a man at his time of the life, but it disgraces the general, end quote. Gates was replaced by rival General Nathaniel Greene in December 1780, and after Congress rescinded orders for a board of inquiry, Gates spent the rest of the war on Washington's staff. Biographer Max Mintz describes Gates as a superficial convert to Methodism, which stands in contrast to descriptions of Gates as a hard-drinking, profane, card-playing soldier. In 1776, American chaplain Edward Emerson wrote of, quote, Gates, who invited him to sup on venison at headquarters, gave him a frank and friendly reception, and though not professing himself to have much religion, said he looked upon a chaplain as a very much necessary officer in the army, end quote. Gates was characterized by his contemporaries as a small man, both in stature and in character. For example, Gates's falsehoods were bluntly exposed by Washington in correspondence over the Conway affair. Caroline Cox's essay contrasted Washington, whose integrity and deference to authority were unquestioned, to Gates, a habitual liar and insubordinate officer who blamed his defeat at Camden on his subordinates and the militia troops. So I thought Proverbs 26:28 was an appropriate verse to apply to Horatio Gates's character. A lying tongue hateth those that are afflicted by it, and a flattering mouth worketh ruin. Viewed through the lens of submission and accountability, as outlined by the Apostle Paul in Acts 14, Horatio Gates clearly lacked integrity, as he rebelled against his appointed superiors and refused to account for his actions and decisions. Thus, it is reasonable to conclude that Gates's many failures were ultimately attributable to his unregenerate character. So thank you for watching my presentation today. Feel free to like and leave comments, and this concludes my presentation.